water flow coming in.
Okay. Welcome everybody to this Tuesday afternoon where we are shooting round 2 with our amazing interior designer, Alice Kincaid from AMK Interior Designs. And Alice and I actually have a long history of entrepreneurship going back to...
Way back.
Gosh, baby time. When our kids
92,
were 92. We were both brand new in the Temecula area, and we met up at Business Women's Networking Group, Temecula Valley. And so excited because all these years later, we reconnected at BWN, Temecula Valley.
Full circle.
And full circle, that's so often how life works. And a lot of life has happened during that time for both of us. So much of a theme of Beauty Matters is transition and managing through those ups and downs of transitional time. So, but just such a delight for me to be here with Alice today. And what a fun topic, homes and interior design. And we're going to get into that a little bit. But before we do, Alice, I would love for you to share with our audience just a little bit about your story. How did you get here?
Okay, well, I started my business before we met, of course. Probably, I started it in Santa Monica, and at that point, I was fresh out of college, decided I wasn't going to work for someone after I realized that that meant drafting all day. And
you got a degree in interior design,
yes,
right?
I got my degree at Long Beach State, and it was at first in art and design and then in interior design. So I have a lot of the art background, which I think influences my color sense and just everything.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and started the business after about 6 months out of college because I couldn't see working for someone and not getting to do the creative part of the business.
The fun part.
The fun part, yeah.
Like,
the schlepping, but it's also the fun part because you get to go and, experience and touch and feel everything and not sit in a room and draft. Right. So I started out there in Santa Monica, and I decided I was going to market myself through networking groups. So I joined a group out there, and it was a really good group, and it helped me grow my business. I stayed there in the area for 3 years, and then we moved to Temecula right after we got married.
Another transition.
Another transition. Yeah, it was scary. A lot of people thought we were nuts because here I had a business that was doing well, but I really wanted to move out to Temecula, one, because it was a growing community, but also I wanted to raise my kids here. And I knew eventually we would have kids and we would buy a home, and I just felt like this was the place to do it. And I feel now we were like very smart in what we did, looking back now. So we moved out here, we knew nobody, thinking I was gonna just go gangbusters, and then we had a little bit of a recession at that time in the area, early 90s. So I had to kind of reinvent myself, and I decided that, my main thing was to get in front of people, to trust me and to like me and to refer me. And so I would work with people and do things as simple as pillows and a rug. Pillows and a rug and a picture. Whatever it took to get them to see the vision and feel like, okay, I've got something that I can be excited about. I was fine with. It wasn't big money or anything, but it was getting me to be able to do what I wanted to do and meet people. I got really involved in the community at that point too, because it was such a small town, and I realized people work with people they know, and so
like and trust.
So did a lot of networking, did a lot of volunteering, and it started to grow. And I have been very, very fortunate in that the clients that I've made, even back from the very beginning, are still friends now. And I've been also very fortunate in that some of them have had me do not just their home or homes, but also their businesses. So it's worked out.
Awesome. Did you know I went to Long Beach State?
No, I didn't know that.
I got my nursing degree at Long Beach State. Maybe we were there.
We might have been. We might have been. 49ers. Go Beach.
So, and just from that story, I know that you went through some transition. That not only did the recession of the early 90s hit, but then we had the 2008 recession. And I know that you kind of left a little bit, and now you're re-entering this. So tell me, in the midst of all of that, what is it that you just love the best about interior design?
First of all, I think the people. I think,
you were going to say that.
I
just
love
from how you are.
I love people, and I love working with people, and I love getting to know them. You know, I mean, I was like a professional visitor sometimes, because sometimes I didn't get paid, but I still got to know people, and I just enjoyed that so much, and making friends and making connections, and then also giving them the opportunity to change their environment, and to, whether it be small or big, change it in a way that makes them feel so much better about what they're doing and what they have, and you know, I think your environment affects your life so much.
Yes.
So if you come home, and even if it's just one little, you know, your square area where you do your office or your kitchen or whatever you're doing, if it's different, if it's up to date, or if you just feel good about it, it changes your outlook.
Yeah, that is so true. And again, I knew you were going to say that, because I think you are just one of those pay it forward type of people that if you give on the front end, it just comes around, doesn't it? And I'm sure you've seen that over and over again.
Oh, yes.
And if you're willing to give a little bit, then people come back and they refer you, and things just start to grow, which is, I think, very common with many, many women entrepreneurs, which is so wonderful.
We're givers.
Yes, that is so true. So what are some of the challenges you kind of come across as an interior designer? Like, what would you say is sort of some of the roadblocks or challenges?
Well, some of the challenges that I used to have, I don't have as much anymore, because of the advent of like things like HGTV, and a lot of times people say, oh, that's probably hurting your business, but it doesn't, because I think people are more aware, they're more educated, they see what things take, they're pretty realistic, not so realistic, but they're pretty realistic about timelines and budgets and things like that, so people know things cost thousands of dollars. And so when they say, I want to do this, they're not saying, well, but I want to do it for, you know, this amount of money.
$100.
Yes. You know, they're more realistic. So that's something that has helped me a lot, because people come in knowing that there's going to be money spent. And then I can help them better, because I will help them figure out where to put it, where it's going to make the most difference. What's hurt about it is that a lot of times people think, you know, they can do it.
I'm a designer.
Just come in and tell me, you know, what you really think, and then I'm going to do it myself, which, you know, that's something you run into with everything, you know, in businesses. Real estate's the same way, you know. I mean, there's a lot of different businesses like that. So you run that risk. You know, you give, and sometimes you get, and sometimes you don't. You know, but you just have to keep plugging along.
And you just can't hang on to those things, right? It's like, okay, go, here's a couple tips, go do your own, and then maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. And, you know, and then that's okay too. They feel good about what you have offered
I wasn't rude,
them.
I wasn't like, oh, you know, and I really feel like as soon as you let that one go, something better comes along. And that's, you know, that's always happened.
So tell us, let's get a little bit into the fun part, and let's say that, you know, starting in the kitchen, because I always feel like kitchens are just such a heart of the home, and kitchen trends have really changed.
They have.
Much more clean line, all of that. So give us a few simple tips on how to really sort of, simple ways to update or clean up or freshen up a kitchen.
Okay, probably, I'm sure everybody's noticed that a lot of kitchens are going white. And I know just, you know, 10, 15 years ago, everything was dark and rich, and so
and granite,
lots of granite. now
movement,
it's more, lots of movement. Which when you would be in there, you know, in some ways it's beautiful, and in some ways it's distracting. So just, you know, there's always like
it'll come around,
tipping point.
Right? It'll come around.
So I think that, of course, lightening up, if you want to enlarge the space, is the way to go. I do, in particular, love the white, just because it is so open and so clean, and then you can add so many different colors and just make, you know, pop a color here, pop a color there, or textures too, because white, if it's like a glossy or, you know, a smooth, that's one texture. So anything else you put up against it is going to...
Beautiful contrast.
Yes. So I love the lightening up with the white. One of the things I think we tend to have in our kitchens is clutter. Or extra stuff, and that's just because if you use your kitchen, if it's a model home, or you're not using your kitchen, it's always going to look good. But most people, like myself, I love to cook. I love to cook. Yes, and I like to have my things where I know they're going to be. But not all the time. So you really have to kind of look at it from the eye of like, clean it off, and counters, whatever they are, whether they're granite or tile or whatever, if there's nothing on them or very little, it's going to look better.
Yeah.
So I always suggest getting, I mean, it doesn't even have to be an expensive little cart, but just something that can move around, maybe 2 shelves, that you could put anything that you usually plug in on the counters that you're not using all the time.
That's a great idea.
Put them on the cart, put them in a closet, put them in your pantry, whatever. And when you need it, you pull it out. But that way you're not seeing it all the time. You've got this nice open area, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, no, those are some great tips. And it's funny because even that, I'm thinking about the trend. It used to be you left your toaster out. You'd leave your blender out. You leave your KitchenAid out, which is still sort of cool because now KitchenAid comes in all of those colors. But for the most part, we don't use, it's carbs aren't in anymore, so put the toaster away.
The bread machine can go.
Yeah, the bread machine. All of those things that makes us look like we do things but really don't.
Yeah, just leave the Vitamixer out because everybody's juicing right now.
What about containers? I mean, everything used to be plastic.
Right, everything was plastic, and now there's so many beautiful things. We're very, very lucky because design has become so, I wouldn't say commonplace, but
mainstream.
It's more mainstream, more accessible to everybody with the Home Goods and Target and all the different shows. So the marketplace has so much more beautiful things for people that you don't have to go to a designer place to get it. So I would say too, in a kitchen, you have a lot of, whether it be flour or sugar or any kind of things like that, or your grains, and everybody's really into having all these different things. Put them in something pretty, put them in some decanters, and then that way if they're on your counter, they're looking pretty. If you've got a pantry that has window, glass, so that you see right through it, make sure everything on the front is in pretty things. The back, who cares? Nobody's going to see that. But the front, make that look pretty. Because when you walk in, that's a first impression. And it's a simple, inexpensive. You can go to Michael's and find gorgeous decanters for next to nothing.
Even the jars.
The mason jars.
The
jelly
mason
jars.
jars.
There's
and
so many
I
things.
think even if you have a pantry maybe that doesn't have glass in front of it, there's something delightful just for ourselves to open it and to see that. I love, and you being a designer, I'm sure you learned this concept of form and function. Like, why can't things be attractive to the eye as well as useful, right?
Exactly.
Which is so nice. So now I would imagine being that word designer for some people is really scary. Right? And budget, we're all on a budget. So talk to us a little bit about being on a budget. Are there certain things that when we're thinking about redoing our home that we should spend money on, and then what are the things that we should maybe
save some money on? I think that if you're looking at doing remodeling or even just a small, fixing something up in your home just because it's time to do it, you have to think about long term. So if it's things that you're going to have for years, your flooring, your furniture, in the kitchen, the cabinets, the countertop, all of those things, you're going to have them for a long time, at least 10 years.
And they're permanent.
They're permanent. And so you want to invest in the best thing that you can afford for those things because it's going to pay off in the long run. You're not going to have to replace it when it starts to fall apart or chip or just, if it's not well made, it's going to take its toll and it's going to ruin everything else. And you've still spent that money. So now you've lost it. So I would say your flooring for sure. Flooring's so important. And then
what's trending in flooring?
Hardwood floors.
Always.
Hardwood floors, the cleanness of that. Another thing that's really big right now, you'll hear LVP, which is luxury vinyl plank, and I'm kind of on the fence about it because it is a vinyl. But it's just like anything. When they first came out with
like Pergo, the laminate.
When they first came out with laminate floors with Pergo, it was like And then of course over time it became much better. They got they found a way to help with the acoustics. The same thing I think will happen with the LVP.
So this is actually laminate, like the kind of laminate that you used to have in old 50s kitchens.
Exactly. The kind we used to tear out.
Wow.
And now they're doing it in sheets and it looks like wood.
Wow.
It's still not wood,
So
I mean, the cost of it is so affordable for people who are doing large spaces and want
like
to have
office spaces,
homes.
Or
I've seen whole homes done in it, and it looks beautiful.
Wow.
You know, it's just
probably very low maintenance.
Very low maintenance. I mean, it's, you know, you can mop it, and then kids and dogs and all that. So there's a lot of really good things about it. And I'll leave it at that, because if I give my own opinions, people say, but I have that. So I'm not going to say it. I mean, for me, it's just the whole thing about wood is warm and alive.
Yes.
You know, but
and
when
it
comes
my
down
father was a woodworker, so I do have an inbuilt bias.
Yeah, I'm very much like when you're buying furniture, I'd rather buy a piece that's from the 50s that has tongue and groove, and you know everything is made, you know, craftsman style, and then go find something today that you can't even pull it out because it's not on, you know, it's not fitting. So, you know, you pay for what you get. Other places you can definitely, I would say, spend more on are things like molding, you know, that you don't think about. You know, you're molding. It's just like when you walk in, we have a lot of tract homes out here. You know, there's nothing that's more than, 30 years, which, you know, it's kind of interesting. It's getting old now, so, you know, adding things that give it that character, that charm, the molding really makes a difference. Changing outdoors, you know, you can have your doors, and they don't have to be white. I mean, imagine black doors all throughout, or really dark wood. It just changes everything.
Probably even the knobs.
And the hardware. That was my next point. The hardware can be beautiful. The back door, the front door. Also the hardware in your kitchen. You know, nothing, you know, you get your beautiful cabinets up, or even if you don't have beautiful cabinets, what a difference to just go out, splurge on some really great funky hardware or something, put it on, and now it feels different, it feels new, it feels custom. It doesn't look like everybody else's on the track. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
So yeah, those types of things, it's like bang for your buck, you know, but don't just go and get your hardware down at, you know, like Home Depot or something like that, because it's going to be what everybody else has. You know, you can go to, I went to Old Town, and they have, you know, even if you're not into antiques, things that are old just have more character. So if you're getting, you know, some hardware, I saw some beautiful light fixture covers, you know, all those types of things. Think out of the box, you know, secondhand stores. You know, it's kind of, the discovery is part of the fun of it, you know. And there is so much more access to things.
Well, and Alice, as I'm listening to you, there's something beautiful about the individual kind of, and I think that's sometimes so lacking. You know, especially when you live in areas like Temecula, where all the homes are the same, everyone shops in the same store. But even with art, and I know you and I know you're an art aficionado, and so am I. But I mean, to me, one of the things that my husband and I did, you know, early on in our marriage, is we did invest in some art pieces that I have to say, it is an investment, but I love those pieces as much today as I did when I bought them. And it's, you know, again, it takes a little bit to get into that mindset. But,
well, and even if you start out small, one of the things that I started doing is, and it's not necessarily investment art, but anytime I would go someplace, I would always buy art from that place. So
what a wonderful memory.
And usually it's from the people that are right there on the street, you know, painting, and then I would talk to them, find out their story. So now I have a piece of art in my home that I see all the time that's not just beautiful, but I know the story behind it. Whereas when you go, you know, not Target or anything like that, but you know, there's no story, there's no charm. You'll go in someone else's house and you'll see the same thing, which, you know, might not bother some people, and that's okay too. I just think that, you know, we all have such individual tastes, and you know, your home is where you can show it.
And I would think you would agree with this. Don't be afraid to go with your individual taste, and don't feel like everything has to be matchy.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and you know,
about that a little bit.
Back when I first started in design, everything was matchy. If it wasn't, you know, it was between the tables, having the two side tables and the coffee table match, your love seat and your sofa match. Everything matched. And then your artwork was 3 pieces of one, you know,
that matched the floral.
Well, you know, and that back in the 90s was the trend. But I think even then, when it was the trend, people who really knew design wouldn't do that, because it was like, you know, I'm going to put something here that I love. I don't care if it matches. I just want to be surrounded by things I love.
and then your own individual wonderful style comes
exactly.
in. So I can just tell you would be so much fun to work with, because I'm sure that that's part of your process. Tell us a little bit about the process if somebody wants to work with you. Is it, well, go ahead and just share.
Okay. So usually it's a referral, so that's always nice because they kind of know a little bit about me. I like to find out, I talk a lot and ask a lot of questions on the phone before I'm even there.
That's awesome.
Because I feel like once I'm there, I want to kind of get started.
Yeah.
But you can find out a lot, just by asking questions, and you can find out if this is even a good time to start.
Yeah.
And that's really important. So finding out, how is the room being used? How many kids do you have? That what is your budget? That is a big one. How long do you want to do this for? Do you need it right now, or do you have an event coming up, or can we do this over the course of a couple of years, which a lot of people don't realize that is totally normal.
In design,
you can
kind of break it up into
working
pieces.
in stages, because so many things happen, in life and in people's family. You never know, or they're going to travel, and all of a sudden they're going away for 8 weeks, and they have to put everything on hold. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you're working in stages, what happens too is the room evolves.
Yes.
And as the room evolves, you might change directions.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to, let's finish this, and then let's just take a look and see, where we want to go from here. People's tastes change.
Yeah.
And so it's better to have it during the process of design instead of after it's already finished.
Right.
And then you're looking back and going, I wish I'd done something different.
Yeah.
You've already spent the money.
Yeah. I'm sure there's always some of those, and that goes back to kind of spending money on basics that are just kind of classic.
Right,
basic.
the classic pieces. And that's why I think the one place, back to what we were talking about before, that you can save are the accent pieces.
Yes.
Even paint. I mean, paint is probably the cheapest form of design.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that, if you change a wall, if you change a color, you've changed, everything. And my mom...
And you've spent under $100.
You spent under $100.
A lot of times, right?
I just redid my mom's office, and it was kind of a yellowish, goldish, and it just never felt great.
Right.
We did a soft gray with wainscoting, white wainscoting, and you walk in and it feels like a different room, and it really, really makes a difference. Paint is everything.
Yeah.
Also, too, paint, and then also, I was just on the tip of my tongue. Paint is really important, but then if you also want to change things up, you really, your accessories can be really, really fine things. I mean, if you've got pieces that were handed down, those are great, but then fun stuff too. I mean,
pillows,
that's where you can do the trendy stuff, because it can be, you can get it, and it's, here for a couple years, and then you're done with it, and you can get rid of it. Pillows, if you're going to get pillows, there's so many gorgeous pillows out right now. I mean, when you go anywhere, you see rows and rows of pillows.
Yeah.
But don't get like the little 18 by 18 ones. Get the bigger, the ones that look designer.
Right.
And then it'll make the room feel designer.
Right. And then you pull them off the couch and
sleep. Lay on the floor.
Get the down filled.
Don't be afraid to buy like huge pillows and stack them up on the floor. And when people come over, you sit on the floor. It's okay.
Form and function.
Form and function.
Form and
yeah.
function.
Everything should have a place. And yeah.
So going back to people working with you, so you get a sense, you kind of get an idea of their budget, and really, I mean, when they come and do a consultation, do you charge a consultation fee, or how does all that work?
I come to their home because I think you have to be in their home, and it's $75 consultation.
Wow,
I've had the same price for a long time, but I think that usually by the time I've already talked over the phone with them, after about an hour, we know where we're going. So an hour is usually what it takes. And then from there, I put together, a board. I will put together whatever it takes to help you see the vision. Sometimes it doesn't take putting together a board. Sometimes it does. It just depends on the client. But
do you
I
use
also
Pinterest at all?
Yes, I have started. Yes, I've started using Pinterest, and
I think that'd be useful.
It's very useful, and it's fun, and it's accessible, because now I can, share. And I always tell people, if they have a Pinterest board, share it with me, because then you see their taste definitely.
Right.
But then after I've put together materials and things like that for them, I'll budget with them and say, okay, let's put together some estimates of what this is going to be. Let's figure out what's the must and what maybe we can wait for. Or if you want to do it all, let's do it all.
Right.
And then what I do is I get the contractors. I take care of all of that, because I think when it comes to paint, when it comes to installing floors, wall covering, anything, you can spend a lot of money and it can be ruined in one day by the wrong contractor.
Well, and what a headache for people.
Yes.
I mean, versus having you as the middleman, and I know you have a history of relationships with these contractors based on conversations we've had.
Right.
So you are there supervising, making sure the job is done right, and I would imagine if it's not done right, they know that they want to work with you in the future,
Right,
so they're going to fix it. So it's a wonderful insurance policy.
Well, yes, and it's, I think for myself, I have peace of mind when I go to installations all the time, because I feel like if something goes wrong, I want to be the one that they talk to, not the client. You know, I want it to be as stress-free as possible.
Right.
But yeah, all of the installers and contractors I've used for over 10 years.
Wow.
And they're all out here in the valley, and I used to be really trying to find women contractors, and I still am all the time. But back
anyone
in the day,
out there?
yeah, anyone out there, I love using women. You know, just because it's
women helping
women, and I really feel that we have a different sense. I had a great wallpaper installer for many years. That was a woman.
And that is coming back.
That is coming up. I was like, I was going to try and talk about that earlier. So yeah, wallpaper is really interesting. Besides paint, that was where I was thinking earlier. Wallpaper could really add a lot to a room, and it can just be an accent wall. It could be
just a little
small wall. I did a gentleman's living room, single man in Palm Springs. And it's one wall, we did this gorgeous oversized motif.
Ooh.
And you walk in and it just makes the room.
Wow.
And it's just, it's wallpaper. I mean, it wasn't, the least expensive wallpaper. It was a little pricey,
Sure.
but boy, it makes that room look so much more. And everything else was furniture you already had.
Right.
So it's those things, little powder rooms.
Oh, I've
do
seen
a little
that,
powder
yes.
room and do the wallpaper. And one of the things that has come up before wallpaper, one of the reasons it's so expensive, it's not just the cost of the materials, it's the installation.
Right.
So when
you
I
have
was
to line up those seams.
yes,
I remember
and it's
that.
a lot of work. It's very hard to do it right, and you don't want to spend money on the wallpaper and do it wrong. But when I was in Vegas, at the market there was a company called Temp Paper, and it's adhesive wallpaper. It's peel-on wallpaper.
Oh my gosh!
And it's gorgeous. And so more research,
So you don't have to do the paste.
No. So it could be just a really temporary thing. Like if your mood changes or whatever, in a couple years, just take it down. But I also noticed that Joanne now carries a version of it.
Okay.
So Temp Paper, of course, is going to be the designer quality and the pricing. Gorgeous stuff. But Joanne made something affordable and the same concept. So I think just kind of jumping in and saying, I want pattern on my wall.
Yeah.
Is what you want to do.
Very, very fun. Oh my gosh, we could just keep going.
I know.
On and on and on.
Where are we at here?
We're probably way over. We're trying to keep these to 20 minutes, so we're probably way over. So, okay, what is the best way, if anybody's interested in a consultation, of getting a hold of you?
Okay. I have a website now. I went live this week.
Okay, so we'll post the website.
Yes, it's AMK Interior Designs.com.
Okay.
And then, or my email, which is the same thing, Alice at. And I have my Facebook page, my Instagram page. Through Beauty Matters, you can get a hold of me. And my phone number, which is
and again,
my one
Alice
phone
is
number.
in the Temecula, Murrieta area. I'm sure you would drive down to San Diego even.
Oh yeah, I've gone as far as San Diego to
Orange County
or Los Angeles.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and again, $75 consultation. And I know one of the things I love about you is you work small projects all the way through big projects and sort of everything. And it's so many things I love about you. Okay, do you have any last minute decorating ideas, tips that you could sort of leave us with?
Last minute decorating tips. I think most of it all, I think people just need to trust their instincts and not be afraid to do something in their home, even without an interior designer. I mean, I love to work with people, but I think a lot of us have, especially women, have a lot of good instincts about what looks pretty, and just try it and just change things up, and don't let things go on and on and on in your home without changing things a little bit, because I think we get so stuck in letting things just be what we're used to, what we're comfortable with, and we don't realize we're just bored with it.
Yeah.
You know, and if you just kind of, you know, pillows, anything, you know, just something.
Even seasonally, isn't it?
Seasonally
true?
is,
Right.
yes, yes. And there's people who are great at that, but a lot of people are just afraid to do it. So don't be afraid. Get out there and try your hand at
it. Do you have a quote for us?
The quote that I love, it's on my Instagram and my Facebook page, is less is more. And that's something that was my mantra from back when I was in design school, in that you don't need a lot to make something look beautiful. And I think we tend to overdo. And I think if you just like with your clothing, you know, you put on this and you put on a piece of jewelry, the last thing you take something off, because less is more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Round 2 has been just as much fun, if not more, than round 1. And thank all of you for joining us. And if you love what you have heard, comment below. And if you have any questions for Alice, comment below. And if you really love it, just hit the share button and put it on your timeline so that we can get the word out about Beauty Matters. Thank you all. Bye.